Hey everybody, Craig Dominini here, CEO and founder of Ask Craig T and the host of the Ask Craig T podcast show. It's Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. We're glad that you're with us again. Got a really great topic for you guys today, and I'm hoping by the end of this that it will add value and inspire you to maybe take action to do this one thing that maybe you're doing already as a business owner, or maybe you're not. And if you are doing it, maybe this will give you some help in how to approach it, and if you're not, this will give you a blueprint on how to start. Before we jump into all of that, I want to real quickly mention that we have recently acquired a new partnership here at Ask Craig T, and so these videos on the Ask Craig T podcast show are now sponsored by P3 Cybersecurity, and so we'll provide their information in the box below. And also always want to remind you, if you're not already following us on YouTube or on our Ask Craig T Facebook page, to please go and do that, like, subscribe, and smash the bell so you get notifications when our new videos come out every single week on Friday at 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And with that, let's jump right into our topic. I think a lot of business owners are struggling to get their message out there. And you know, we've talked on previous episodes about digital marketing and different content strategies, social media, but I want to get a little bit deeper today into a very specific topic, and that is how to create content, right? So content marketing for podcasts. A lot of businesses, I'm sure you've seen, a lot of people are starting to come out with their own podcasts. It seems like everybody has a podcast, right? So now there's three categories, right? Everybody has a lawyer, everybody has a real estate broker, and everybody has a podcast. And I think everybody knows someone who's in network marketing, so maybe there's four things. So podcasting has become so attractive, and you have to ask yourself initially why. Well, mainly because you can do it with the simplicity of a phone. You can really just take your smartphone out and maybe have some decent lighting, and you could just take that raw video and you could put it into some program and you could edit it, and you could start there, and you could have a great format for a podcast like this. And so what I want to encourage you to do first is to take the step and to start a podcast if you haven't already done that. And if you have, or if you're going to start, I want to give you the roadmap to kind of just really break down what it is that you're trying to accomplish on a podcast. And then I want to talk a little bit and wrap up by talking about, how to do it more efficiently. Because here at Ask Craig T, everything that we do is about creating operational efficiencies. And I don't want to create another thing that makes you have to spend time and drains you from doing the thing that you want to do in your business or that you need to be doing in your business. But this is one of those things that I would put into the category of income producing activity. Why? Well, the purpose for a podcast really is to add value, right? To provide information on the front end when it comes to your business. So like we do here on the Ask Craig T podcast, we try to add value. We try to put information out there that is going to be informative, that is going to allow you to maybe learn or understand or make decisions about something in your business. And we do that in contrast, rather than trying to, like a lot of people make the mistake of selling on the back end, right? So we don't want to sell on the front end. We don't want to sell at all on these podcasts. We want to add value and provide information. So, as an example, podcasting works great, even better really than just like a traditional video that you would see on YouTube, like an informative or explainer video, because people tend to watch podcasts. They subscribe to your podcast channel, hopefully, and they will tend to watch the entire episode all the way to the end. And what that does is it not only allows them to get that information, but it also starts to develop this rapport, this relationship. So as I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you, I'm actually developing a connection, through this video, hopefully with you. But then there's always a problem, right? To the pro. The problem with doing a podcast is it really works because you have an audience. So maybe you're starting out and you have a podcast, or you're going to start a podcast, and you don't have this audience that's already kind of built in. So what are some things that you need to consider in terms of building an audience? Well, organically, you can certainly just go around and tell everybody, hey, I've got a podcast, and hope that people just go and subscribe to your podcast, on Spotify or Apple or whatever. But that's only part of the equation. Well, what's nice is that there have been a lot of tools deployed recently that will allow you to leverage things like YouTube and help build that visibility, the same way that if you just posted a video on YouTube, for like an explainer video or how to do a tune-up on your Dodge truck. Those videos are becoming growingly more popular because there are things happening in the technology and the platform behind it. We're going to talk about that in a second. The other challenge that most people have when they start any kind of content creation, but especially when it comes to podcasting, is what do I talk about? What do I say? What are the topics? Well, first, you want to have a podcast that has something to do with your business, and assumably you're the expert in that business, right? You know something about what it is that you do, and so stick to kind of that focus in terms of your content. But I want to give you a couple of pieces of inspiration that will allow you to go, I can do this. First thing, discoverability, going back to nobody knows who you are potentially when you start a new podcast. YouTube actually just deployed an AI platform. So regardless of your experience with technology or knowing how to use AI, when you upload a video now to YouTube, it actually takes the video, it analyzes it using an AI platform, and it actually understands the content that's there, and it will start to suggest not only keywords and phrases and things like that, but it'll also go through and it will stimulate its own algorithm to share that content to people that are searching for certain things on YouTube. So for example, if you were looking for how to enhance a podcast or start a podcast, hopefully this video is going to come up because YouTube is going to analyze the content of this video and it's going to start to share it with other people. And of course, in our videos, when you would do the same, I always encourage people to like and subscribe and to smash the bell for notifications. Why do I do that? Well, once I have them on the video, you get that one shot to kind of convert them to a subscriber and to get them to be a follower, right, to build an audience. So with the conjunction of that algorithm and that AI piece, along with you putting out good quality content, you're going to establish an audience. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but it is certainly happening faster than it normally does or than it ever has, because there are tools now assisting you, whether you realize that or not. Second thing, aside from discoverability, is that challenge of how do I come up with the content? What do I share on my podcast? And is this is not going to be a surprise to a lot of people what I'm about to say, but I want to give you some very practical tips on how to do this. But ChatGPT has grown to be one of the most widely consumed pieces of technology that's out there, in my opinion, when it comes to AI. They were the early adopters, they were one of the first ones to market with it from a consumer standpoint. They have continued to release new versions recently and pace the upgrades and the additions to the technology itself and the capabilities. And so not a big surprise that I'm going to throw ChatGPT at this particular issue, but I'm going to give you two very specific pieces of information, and they're called prompts, P-R-O-M-P-T-S, prompts, okay? Maybe we'll flash it on the screen, prompts. But a prompt is really just the way that you communicate with an AI platform, with ChatGPT in this case. And it's funny because prompts it's like talking to people. Now, I will be the first to admit that I don't have the greatest communication skills in terms of my English language, but tend to speak in more of a casual, slangy kind of a way. But when it comes to something like ChatGPT, there is a formality to it where it expects the etiquette, if you will, of communicating to a person, which is kind of weird and uncomfortable, seen as it's not a person, right? It's a piece of technology. But it likes manners. It likes to be, said please and thank you and you're welcome. And, it loves to have its ego stroked, right? And tell it that it's really great at what it's doing. And so I tell you all that because what I'm going to share with you may seem weird to kind of use when you go to a tool like ChatGPT, but I promise you I've used these exact same prompts myself to do this podcast week to week. And so here's the two prompts / tips that I'm going to give you, and we're going to kind of wrap up with that. So the first prompt is, like I said, ChatGPT wants to be stroked. It wants its ego to be stroked. So you say something like this. This is the literal prompt. You are an expert content creator in the blank niche. List out 50 topics for a podcast about a specific thing in that niche for an audience of small business users. So it might sound like this for me. Because you're an expert content creator in small business process development, or because you're an expert content creator in technology in small business, list out 50 topics for a podcast about how to use a CRM for an audience of small business users. That might be a prompt, right? So you're an expert content creator in technology, and the result you're going to get is a list of 50 different topics. Now, what you do is you look at those 50 topics. It doesn't have to be 50, by the way. It could be 20, it could be 100. But you look at those lists of topics, and you go through and you figure out which one of those topics you want to use as topics for your podcast episodes. You take those, you write them in a separate list somewhere, set them aside, maybe in a spreadsheet, and then you use the second prompt and you say, take one of the topics. So like you're going to use, let's say we get a topic back of why CRMs help with sales, right? Maybe that's a topic. So you're going to use this prompt. You're going to say, give me a detailed podcast outline for how to use a CRM in sales, and then hit enter. You're going to get back a bulleted, detailed outline of a podcast format that you can then use. Maybe you put it on a teleprompter, or you have it on a computer screen, or maybe you just memorize it, or maybe you have it on a piece of paper in front of you. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's giving you the kind of the meat, the outline of, or not the meat, but the bones of the podcast episode. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through it and you're going to personalize it. This is really important. Go through and add stuff to the outline that is maybe personal stories or experiences in that topic that you have, which makes the whole podcast outline a little more cohesive and a little more consumable and more personal. And remember, back at the beginning, we want to add value and information, and we want to do it in a podcast format because it develops a rapport, it develops a relationship, a connection with the person watching the video. And this is just a simple way to get your message out there and not spend a bunch of time getting caught in the whole what do I share, right? So hopefully this adds value to you today. That's the point of doing the podcast, right? It's short and sweet today. Content marketing for your business using a podcast, a couple of really key philosophies there, and then some practical prompts that you can use right now in your business. So when you get off this video, leave us a comment below, let us know that this added value, and go ahead and get on your computer and get to ChatGPT and use those two prompts the way that we've talked about here so that you can come up with a list of your own for how to start your podcast, or if you've already got a podcast, how to inspire some new energy and some topics into your podcast, and to give you a format, right? A bone structure, if you will, of how to go ahead and have those episodes every single week. And remember, if you need help, Ask Craig T is always here to help you, but you can do this, okay? There was a time when I started doing this that we actually did this out of my garage with a green screen and a smartphone and a ring light. And I had no idea what I was doing. And here we are today, several years later, producing our podcast every single week, week after week, with fresh new topics, hopefully that are adding value to your business. And so I'm so excited that you guys took the time to watch this video. I thank you very much. And again, if you haven't already liked and subscribed us, go ahead and do that so that you're getting notifications every time our new videos come out. And as always, thanks for joining us on the Ask Craig T podcast show. We'll see you next week, Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Have a great day.